Today I'll show you how I turn shotgun shells into keychains. Each one is made from a real metal shell base and a wooden body that replaces the plastic hull. So let's start working on the shells. The first step is removing the primer. I use a small punch and gently tap it out from the shell base. It's a quick process, and the shell is ready for the next step, which is separating the plastic hull from the shell base. To separate the plastic hull from the shell base, I start by heating the metal. A bit of heat softens the plastic and breaks the bond between the two parts. You can do this over a candle or with any other gentle heat source. When the shell base is warm enough, I grab the metal part with pliers and pull the two pieces apart. The plastic comes off easily once it softens. If we use a candle for heating, some soot may build up on the metal part. The easiest way to remove it is to wipe it off with a paper towel or a cloth, and the shell base will be clean again. Now it's time to make the wooden piece that will replace the plastic hull. I start by turning the rough piece of wood into a cylinder that's slightly larger than the diameter of the shotgun shell. Once the cylinder is ready, I carefully reduce the diameter on the right side until the metal shell base can slide on with a tight fit. In the middle section, I turn down a smaller diameter that fits into the opening where the primer originally sat. This helps lock the shell base in place and keeps everything perfectly aligned. We also need to remove the excess wood that sticks out through the primer opening. At this stage, I shape the main body of the shell to match the exact diameter set by the metal shell base on the right side. To determine the length of the wooden part, I simply match it to the size of the plastic hull I'm using as a reference. Before cutting the wooden piece off the base, I give it a quick sanding if needed to clean up the surface. Now I use the parting tool to cut the shell free from the base. And before I move on, I give it one final check just to make sure the shell base snaps on cleanly and lines up the way it should. With the lathe, there's just one final detail left to shaping the edge at the end of the wooden shell, which will make the piece look even closer to a real shotgun shell. The wooden part of our keychain is now complete, so the next step is applying the final finish. For the finish, I'm using super glue. It gives the wood a nice glossy look, and at the same time it hardens the outer layer, which makes the keychain much more durable. After applying the super glue, I let the wooden base spin on the lathe just long enough for the finish to fully cure. As I mentioned earlier, the shape of our keychain is already very close to a real shotgun shell, but if we want to push it even further, we can add one final detail. Using a router to shape the end of the shell and create that characteristic crimped finish you normally see on a real shell. With the wooden part fully shaped, we can move on to the final step, putting the whole keychain together. Before we screw in the metal eyelet, we drill a small pilot hole to make the installation easier and more precise. To attach the shell base to the wooden part of the keychain, I add a thin layer of gel super glue to both sides and then press them together. To keep the metal eyelet from loosening over time, I add a drop of gel super glue into the pilot hole before screwing it in. All that's left is to attach the chain with the split ring to the metal eyelet. And that's the keychain completed. Stay for a moment. I've added a few final shots of the finished pieces. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more woodworking projects. Thanks for watching.